believing is important to make these contributions. And so I'm very grateful that we've had such an outpouring of support, and look forward to continuing to receive that kind of strong endorsement from tens of thousands of people across our country. So we'd like to take it. Every delegate's important. And, I've been to Maine numerous times, both for pleasure and business, and I've been to this university 3 times. So for me, this is a kind of labor of love. I feel very close to a lot of the people here who've been my friends going back many years. We're going to work as hard as we can for the caucuses tomorrow, and hope to do well. I've had a wonderful conversation with him, and we share a lot of the same views. I believe strongly we've got to revitalize the mill economy in rural areas. Many of the concerns he has are ones that I share because of my work on behalf of upstate New York, and I would be honored to have his support. Well, we have always looked to a mixed system, and it's been the way we've done it for as long as I can remember. And I think that, again, if people want to go after delegates who are in places that I've won, who are supporting somebody else, then what's good for the goose should be good for the gander. And so we've got a system. We're following that system. A lot of superdelegates have independent judgment about who can win and who can be the best president. I respect their judgment. Oftentimes they have firsthand knowledge of the candidates. So historically, independence has been part of what we've looked for from the superdelegates. Well, I think it's important for someone running for president to make it clear that the president doesn't have all the answers. We've had a president for 7 years who acts as though he does, and I think that's been to the great detriment of our country and our position in the world. I believe very strongly that we have to begin withdrawing our troops, but I respect those, like the woman who asked me the question, who say, well, what about the consequences? And I don't know that we have. In fact, I do know we have no perfect solution. We have to do what we think is right. I think it is right both for our country and for our military and our military families, and for Iraq that we begin withdrawing. But I'm going to be constantly asking hard questions. Unlike George Bush, I think facts matter. I think information is important to a decision maker, and I want people to know that that's the kind of president I'll be. When I make a decision, we're going to follow through, but we're also going to be open to information about how that decision is proceeding. Well, I think that the people of Michigan and Florida spoke in a very convincing way that they want their voices and their votes to be heard. The turnout in both places was record-breaking, and I think that that should be respected. I am a mom first and a candidate second, and I found the remarks incredibly offensive. I can take whatever comes my way. That's part of what I signed up for as a candidate, as an office holder. But I think that there's been a troubling pattern of comments and behavior that has to be held accountable. So I have sent a letter to the head of NBC expressing the deep offense that I took and pointing out what has been a troubling pattern of demeaning treatment, and I would expect appropriate action to be taken. We've accepted a lot of debates from a lot of different sponsors, and we're going to wait and see how this plays out. Oh, sure you can. I mean, anything can happen in a campaign. You all covered me in New Hampshire. You know anything can happen in a campaign. So I feel very good about what we're preparing to do with these upcoming contests, and then particularly, onto Wisconsin, Ohio, Texas, and Pennsylvania. This is a contested primary, and it's bringing a lot of interest to the Democratic Party. I think that's all to the good, and I anticipate that we will be, really crisscrossing the country, comparing and contrasting our records. We've only had a 2-person race for, a little over a week or 10 days. It seems hard to imagine. And I think it's really, we really owe it to voters for them to be able to draw those contrasts. As a race narrows, people's attention really sharpens. And I think as voters learn more about my record, the contrast with Senator Obama on important issues like health care, my depth of experience in areas that are going to be important for the next president, I think that's very vital information for voters to have. Well, I think if you look at the votes I've gotten, I am ahead in the popular vote as well as in delegates. I am actually drawing from the voters that a Democrat needs to draw from to establish a strong lead against Senator McCain. Voters making less than $50,000, Latino voters, women, which has always been the core of the Democratic nominee's base. I have every confidence that we will win back the voters that Senator Obama has been attracting. And I have every confidence as well that when we get into the election with Senator McCain, I have three very big advantages. Number one, I have been vetted, tested, and proven as a winning candidate against tough opposition. I think that's a great advantage that I carry into the general election. Number two, I can go toe-to-toe with Senator McCain on national security, and there is no doubt in my mind that he and his campaign and the Republican Party will once again try to make this about national security. And it's imperative we have a Democratic candidate who people can imagine as commander-in-chief standing there with Senator McCain, and I believe that I crossed that threshold. And finally, on important issues to the country, like health care, there is a stark contrast here. I don't think it's helpful for the Democratic nominee to have given up on universal health care, because you can imagine the debate where Senator McCain says, well, I'm in favor of health savings accounts and tax credits. We're going to cover a lot of people. And, Senator Obama says, well, I'm in favor of getting there nearly, but not quite, because I don't have universal health care. The voter who cares about health care, what are they supposed to conclude from that? I'm going to be standing there saying, I'm for universal health care. I have a plan to achieve it. I know how to pay for it. You could not have a starker contrast on that, on the economy, on women's issues, and so much else that I think voters from both the Democratic and the Republican Party, as well as independent voters, will find very attractive. So I feel very good about the general election. Yes, I feel strongly about that as well, and have proposed expanding family and medical leave, expanding the exemptions that stay-at-home moms can get. A lot of women work and basically don't make much more than what it takes to pay for child care. If they could stay at home, especially in those early years, but not feel that their family was at a real negative disadvantage when it came to family income, I think that would be a very attractive option. So I am very focused on seeing what I can do to help give tools to families. There's not one size fits all. Some families want to have two parents in the workforce. Some would prefer to have one if they could afford it. Single moms don't have a choice. We need to look at the family as it is today and to be very sensitive to the very many needs that families have, and that's one of them.
Last question, guys.
Well, he has increasingly run an establishment race, and he has increasingly relied on big endorsements and celebrities to sort of attach himself to get the kind of validation that comes from that sort of endorsement. And he has increasingly, in my view, really tailored his positions so that they are more establishment-oriented, like giving up on universal health care. So I think there is an argument to be made there that if we want a Democrat to be the Democratic standard bearer who stands for the positive, progressive agenda of the Democratic Party, as opposed to more of the same or a little less than more of the same, then I think I'm the best candidate to carry that message. And I have competed against some pretty tough odds over the last 2 months, and I feel very good about where my campaign is, because time and time again, people have defied the predictions. They have ignored all of the pundits, and they have decided that they want to go with someone who they believe will be the best president on day one, who they believe will take care of them and their families, will get the economy moving, will work to achieve universal health care, will stem the tide of home foreclosures, will help them with home heating assistance. These are issues that are really critical to the families in Maine and across America. It's what people talk to me about, and I think they look at my 35 years of producing positive change for people, and they believe that I will be there. When all of the cameras are turned off and the lights are down, they know that I will be there day in and day out. For me, this is not about campaign about me. It's about us. It's about helping the American people and repairing the damage that we're going to inherit from George W. Bush. Thank you all very much. Take care. See you on the bus.